This is a reading of the short play Witchy Kitchy with Mad Missie Mildred, a play by Michael Joseph Tarnish Roby. This performance is intended for 3 actors. I will be reading for all 3 characters, in addition to the stage directions. The characters are Mildred, female, a witch in her mid-50s. She runs a cooking program called Witchy Kitchy. Though the character is female, a male may play the character with an exaggerated British falsetto, if desired. Mr. C, a male demon with a short temper. And Vlad, a stereotypical vampire. This play is set in the spring upon the British Isles, just after a frost, inside of a witch's home kitchen. The stage is set up with a counter island as if it sits in the middle of a kitchen. The island has at least one drawer and a set of bowls around a large black cauldron. Near the island is a single chair, and further downstage is a mat with a pentacle painted on it. Lights up on Mildred at the cooking island, a magical staff in hand. A very magical day to you, and welcome to Witchy Kitchy with me, Mad Missie Mildred. Today, after that miserable frost last night and the haze outside this morning, I'm in the mood for something comforting. That's why I'm going to show you my recipe for scones and nectarine jam. She refers to the kitchen counter. Now, the recipe for scones is really quite easy. I've got 225 grams here of flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 50 grams of sugar, and 55 grams of fat. You can use butter or margarine, but I quite like a good scoop of Minotaur tallow when I can get it. You non-magical folk can mix these together in a bowl, but I find my cauldron is just fine for this. Mildred tosses all of the ingredients into her cauldron. And then add 100 mils of milk. I quite like Sasquatch milk when I can get it, but it's the off-season, so cow will have to do. She adds the milk, raises her staff, and stirs around the cauldron. And what you should end up with is a light and sticky dough. Turn it out onto your work surface. She turns the dough out onto her countertop and begins rolling with her staff. And give it a good roll to 1 centimeter in thickness. After completing the roll, she pulls a large book from her counter and steps toward the summoning circle downstage. Now, I plucked some nectarines to make jam from the little tree in my front yard. The only problem is that awful frost got a few too many of them, so my batch was pretty meager. I'm just going to have to summon a few extra, and a nice squeeze of lemon will add a lovely tartish little bite. She runs her hands over the large book in her hand and chants, "Fuzzy fruits so light and sweet, I summon you now, it's time to eat." There's a flash and the stage goes momentarily dark. After the lights come back up, Mr. C emerges behind Mildred's counter work table with a crate in hand. Mr. C utters a great, terrible roar. Mildred responds, "Hello, who's that now?" "Foolish mortal, who dares summon Cimmerius, the masher of souls, slicer of flesh, and pounder of bones?" "Well, if we're doing formal introductions, I suppose that'd be me, Mad Missie Mildred, the masher of potatoes, slicer of apples, and pounder of chicken breasts. Whatever are you doing in my kitchen?" "You summoned me from that ancient cursed tome, the Necronomicon." Mildred double-checks the book. "No, I didn't. I summoned." She pauses to double-check her work. "Oh, I see. I was trying to summon nectarines with a lemon. But this page is for nectarine with demon instead. Honest mistake." She approaches the kitchen. "You do have the peaches, though." Mr. C throws the crate to the floor and draws his greatsword. "Impudent wench! I will take your head and feast on your soul!" "Bad demon! Very bad! Brain curry isn't on the menu until next month." Mildred passes to a drawer near the counter. "I find that if you're in a pinch battling the forces of darkness in your kitchen, a good serrated bread knife is your best choice for keeping your head on your shoulders." Mr. C swings his sword toward Mildred, and the two engage in a short duel throughout the kitchen. At some point, Mr. C lands a series of overhead swings into his own crate behind the kitchen island. Once he's done so, Mildred lands a cut into him. Mr. C shouts in pain, staggers backwards, and lands in the nearby chair. Mildred picks up her staff and points at him. "Terribly sorry for this, Mr. C, but I'll need you to stay put for this part of the show. Stay seated." Mr. C struggles from his chair. "You have hexed me to this seat, foul witch!" "No, no, the foul witch is my sister. She makes a lovely duck with cherry sauce." Mr. C continues to struggle. "Contemptible woman! Cursed scullery maid! You damnable enchantress!" Mildred points her staff at him again. "Oh, be silent, Mr. C. This is a family program." Mr. C tries to respond, but finds his mouth is sealed shut, so he utters a throaty, lip-covered roar. Mildred shakes her head. "Seems they don't teach manners in the lakes of fire and brimstone these days." She surveys the crate he came in with. "Put all that smashy beat the crate of nectarines to just the right consistency. Thank you, Mr. C." Mr. C utters the best roar he can without the ability to open his mouth. "Just need to get these into a jar." Mildred waves her staff at the crate. "Go on now, sweet sticky mass. Get yourself into a glass." She returns to her scone dough. "Now we're just going to slice some lovely little scones here and pop them on a baking tray." She does so, picks up the tray with one hand, her staff with the other, and brings the baking sheet over to Mr. C. "Now, usually you'd bake these in the oven at about 200 degrees C for 15 minutes. But if you have a big bad demon on hand," she extends the tray toward Mr. C and points at him with her staff, "tell me you can't help, and you'll be a liar. Come on now, C! Let's see your breath of fire!" The stage should go dark, save for a single orange light directly on the two that indicates fire is spewing from his mouth. "You now have a tray of delicious scones ready in as few as 10 seconds. Just find a nice spot for them to cool." Mildred walks back to the counter and sets the tray out of sight. "You have beaten me, humiliated me, and even used me for your cursed confectionery purposes. Release me from this contract, witch. I'd rather be back in the underworld." "Oh, but Mr. C, I've made far too many to eat all by myself. Surely you'll stay for scones and jam."
"Do not mock me, woman! The forces of darkness do not eat scones!"
"Well, maybe you'll like eating these." Mildred pulls out the jar of jam, splits a scone, smears it on top, takes one half for herself and offers the other to Mr. C. "Cheers now." Mr. C snarls at her, then lashes out and eats the scone right out of her hand. As he does so, a wondrous smile slowly crosses his face.
Why, that is delicious!"
"Nice to hear you coming around."
It's simply scrumptious. I can't keep something like this to myself. Can I summon my friend over?"
"Well, now, I don't know about that."
Mr. C chants, "This lady's cooking makes me scream and shout. Hey, Vlad, come over, check this out."
The stage again goes dark. When the lights come back up, Vlad stands opposite Mildred and Mr. C. Vlad, in as stereotypically Transylvanian accent as possible,
"Ah, did someone call me?"
"Oh dear, a vampire? Looks like we'll be doing blood sausage in the next episode. Join me next week for Mad Missie Mildred's Witchy Kitchy, and have yourself a magical mealtime." All three characters smile and wave goodbye at the audience. Lights out.